Good morning, guys. How are we all doing? How's it seems? Stanley, TJ, just me, Balas, how are we all doing? Hope you're all well, guys. Hope we've all had a good weekend and end of last week. Sorry, again, apologies, I was away. Hi, Alessandra, how are you doing? Only got back yesterday afternoon. Managed to actually catch some gold buys towards the end of yesterday, which was great. Those have now been stopped out of break even the runner. I did secure a little bit more of the runner, so I had about 2 lots left as a runner, and then about one of those I ended up securing, and then the other one lot got stopped out of break even with this push that we've now had to the downside. I'm not really involved in gold sells. I see that there are some people here involved in the gold, so Zeems is and TJ is as well by the looks of it. So yeah, hopefully that's going well. The only reason I didn't take these gold sells was obviously trend, guys. We are bullish in market structure. What did make me look at it now and think that it would have been a great move is we do need to retest. Now that we've broken through this resistance area at 1814, we need to retest that if we want to continue moving bullish. So if we get a strong bearish 4-hour push and then start forming some support on the 1 hour and 30 minute, I think that'll be a really good opportunity then to ride the buys back up to the highs and then get some really good early buy entries. So that's going to be something I'm looking at on gold. I did obviously have this support marked out. It was an impulse entry, but if we look on the 1 hour, it was actually a break of this support level. This candle finally closed. So this candle the previous 1 hour candle tried to close below, wicked up and closed back within this area. Then the next candle closed below that 1 hour support, indicating that we weren't respecting this 1 hour support. And then this following candle's one which did all the damage and came straight down. So this was a very strong candle. I certainly think that there is a chance that if we maintain this bullish market structure, you can see obviously we are very bullish on gold at the moment. This was the high which we created yesterday, and this was the point which created the high. Here's our 2 candle pullback. So if we maintain this bullish market structure level and come down to these sorts of levels and start forming some support, it'll be really good indication that we can then continue bullish and keep moving up. That's what I'll be looking for anyway on gold. If we look at GJ, this is just GJ on the 4 hour, but on the 30 minute we are kind of stuck in a little bit of a range. By the looks of it, we try to continue moving bullish for a little bit, but then we came straight back into range with the strong bearish candle. Now if we can start forming some support and moving back up above this 156.251 level, which you can see we've rejected at before over here, and it is also a 15-minute level of resistance, so do take that into consideration as well, please, when you're looking at GJ. So I'll be more or less looking for buys above this 156.251 level. There is obviously a bit of implications when we look to the left here, although we do have more or less a decent amount of trading range, about 20 or so pips. We do need to take into consideration that we can reject anywhere within that 30-minute wick, so that's something to look at. Anon, how are you doing? Welcome. And yeah, I just think that it is something to look at. Sound a bit soft. If you guys can let me know if the mic is a little bit soft, I can try turning it up on the mic, but I don't know if that's going to help much. Otherwise I'll turn it up in the Streamlabs. But yeah, just let me, if it's like that for all of you guys, just let me know, please. If we look at the 1 hour on GJ, we are kind of respecting this 1 hour level of support. This 1 hour candle also closed strong bullish above this sort of level. So if we can break above this 1 hour candle high, we should again then see ourselves getting up to maybe 156.450, around that sort of level. So let's just wait and see. We do have obviously open in about 8 or so minutes, so that's going to be something which is going to hopefully add some volume into the market. I didn't trade Friday, and well, I barely looked at the markets on Friday, and yesterday morning obviously didn't have much of a look at London, but when I was traveling home I saw everyone on the group talking about how GJ was dropping like a stone, and that was this sort of move over here. So yeah, hi Sharif, how are you doing? Welcome. So yeah, I hope that we all had a good weekend. and are ready to have a nice week ahead. Why can I ask why when you analyze the market structure you don't consider the 1 hour? I do definitely consider the 1 hour, but for me it's not for one of the 4 main market structures. It is very important to take into consideration what the 1 hour structure is, but it can, with a 30-minute structure, it gives you more or less a minor structure. So with market structure, obviously when we're looking at the weekly, the 4 hour and the daily, those are going to take a really long time to flip. And then if we look at the 1 hour, it's going to take longer than the 30-minute. But of course it is still, valid. It is important to look at. But if we're looking at too many market structures, then it's obviously going to be, we're going to start thinking, okay, no, but this one is maybe bullish, but this one's bearish, and then it becomes a little bit too complicated. So we're just trying to simplify it. I think that's the word. Simplify. Sorry, it's the actual word. Yeah, just trying to simplify it. I think the 30-minute flips quite often, so it gives good opportunities then to allow for buys and sells if you are trading almost purely based off of market structure. But yes, 1 hour market structure is still important. So you can see here on GJ, we maintained our 1 hour bullish market structure. So if you were looking at this instead of the 30-minute, these sells would have been very hard to catch because it would have been against your overall trend. Because this was our high created on the 1 hour, and that was created by this point down here, and we never exceeded that. So by technicals, we were still bullish in market structure on the 1 hour, which I suppose plays into this bullish push which we're having now because we maintain that. How's the drive? First leg of the drive, going there was a bit interesting. It wasn't the smoothest drive, but I don't know why I don't have the Pro anymore. I will do that after stream. Yeah, it was fine. And then on the way back, it was about a 6 hour drive, guys. So drove 6 hours there on Thursday. Took a little bit longer than that because I had a few complications. And then the drive back was very, very smooth. Did it all in one sort of go. Didn't stop at all. So that was also good. So yeah, I think I'm going to be looking for some buys above this 156.251 level. And then sells obviously are going to be risky below this 155.987 level. But it could be a possibility because we have the clean candles to the left, but it will be counter trend. $987. Sunday I'm in Cape Town. Very, very keen to see you, Zeems. Finally getting to meet the boy. Me and Zeems have known each other for probably like 3, maybe 4 years now, guys, but we've never actually met in person. He lives in a different city to me, and he's finally coming to Cape Town. And Ronan's going to be here as well, Zeems. He arrives today or tomorrow actually, in Cape Town. So yeah, these are the 2 levels we're looking for. The sells, obviously, again, guys, they are going to be counter trend if we base it on our overall market structure. We have our weekly as bullish. You can see previous weekly was bullish. Even if it was a Wednesday, and yesterday we had a strong bearish weekly candle at one point, it then flipped bullish, so we are maintaining that. Now we've also kind of created our bottom wick on the weekly, so those possible buys definitely do look a little bit more probable. It looks like we have now created that bottom wick and flipped bullish. Our daily candle at the moment is also very strong bullish, and we know that our structure on the daily is still bullish. This was our high point which created the high, never got a candle close below that point. So we've maintained that bullish market structure on the daily for a very long time. Our 4 hour market structure is also still currently bullish. That is our high. and our point which created that high is all the way down here. You can see there's our 2 or more candle pullback. So we are very bullish in market structure at the moment. We are also constantly forming higher highs and higher lows on the 4 hour, which we know is super important when just looking at the overall trend of the day and trend of the past few days as well as the week. So yeah, buys is definitely my bias on GJ. We're now still coming down on gold, which is good to see. I hate these adverts. Definitely need to get the pro after the stream. So we're gonna blow me up. I'll tell Ronan you here. You can go to, I don't know if you drink wine, but there's a lot of nice wine farms here. So you can go there. If we're looking at at gold, guys, we are obviously going to be, well, I'm looking to create some support. So at the moment, it looks like we are trying to create a little bit of support. We've now come down into this sort of area and are possibly rejecting it. You can see we're leaving a long rejection wick here. We have a minute till this candle close. If we form support on this area, we've then retested this 30 minutes resistance and turned it into support. Now then what we want to see is obviously some indications that we can then start moving up again, or if we're going to drop down a little bit further, don't get faked into those earlier buys back up, and then we come back down and then eventually make that move back up. So that's where we just need to wait for our candle confirmations. That's going to be very, very important as well. So we're just going to wait for possible support to form and then look for those buys back up. Otherwise, let's let price come down to a stronger level of support, so possibly this 1 hour level of support. Then that'll also be a retest of our 4 hour sort of levels. We need to basically retest this sort of area, because then that's our break and retest, and then we can definitely see ourselves continuing back up if we do get the lower time frame confirmations. So that will be our 1 hour and 30 minute candle confirmations. More interested in GJ at the moment. I just want to see if we can get, if this candle closes in the next 30 seconds weak bearish, what that indicates is that if we then break that weak bearish candle, there could be a chance of us, if we get that London volume to continue up. Just want to see on 30 minute we are forming some support. We want this to be obviously a strong bullish candle, because that'll be almost again another indication that we could continue. We do have more or less clean candles to the left. If we look on the 50-minute time frame, it's all around the same level, this area of resistance. So yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see what we get here. We could continue ranging again, like London has done to us so many times before, and then only get that entry here. Would you take impulse entry? If I see that we wick down and then get that strong push, I'm quite tempted to take impulse entry here. Gold buys. It's tempting. I'm just thinking if this is the proper retest or if we're going to drop down a little bit lower. Morning, Nick. No problem at all. Welcome. I'm in two minds, because I would definitely say yes if we had respected the previous candle low, but you can see we didn't do that. That's normally our very, very strong confirmation that we will continue. So that's why I'm a bit hesitant on this one. If what ends up happening is we break up a little bit and then come to this level and then end up coming down a little bit more and only later come up, then that could definitely be a problem. Looking at GJ buys, I am looking at GJ buys above 156.251. Obviously I want to see a clean break. It would not be good to just see us come up to this level and all of a sudden take a buy position. We want to see it break by at least a pip, I would say. If it's not going to come up there, might do it only a little bit later. New York Open might, or pre-New York, New York might see some more volume. So yeah, just wait and see for now, guys. Gold we leaving. I don't know what you're doing on gold, but I'll be seeing what I'm doing on gold. It's important to remember that there's no we in trading. It's me, you, and the rest of us. Gold is very tempting. Yep. Just gonna look on the 5 minute. Got some very clean candles on the 5 minute. Okay, so if you were to have taken a gold entry, you should have taken it by now. It probably would have been, for me, I did not take the gold entry. It would have been around 18.21. Maybe a little bit lower. Let me just see. 18.15, I would say, roughly. So that would have been probably your optimal entry. Good indication that now we've clearly broken the previous high of the previous candle. Not just a little break above and then continue down. So that's a nice strong indication. Obviously you have the bullish market structure. You've formed now some support. Although it's a doji candle, you have formed some support on a previous level of 30-minute resistance. So that's your break and retest almost being completed. And we know that if we're going to be in an upward trend, we're going to be wanting to form support on previous levels of resistance. That's your break and retest. So I didn't take this just based on the lack of confirmation that we did not respect the previous 30-minute candle low. But I do see why this was a very, very probable trade. You also had about, let's see here. I'd say you at least had about 20 pips of range to work with. So that would have definitely been something to look at. You're way too beautiful. What's up, Potrex? Welcome, welcome. So yeah, if you did take those early entries, it should be up about 7 pips. So if price had come back to your entry, I would certainly suggest closing half. You don't want to be risking too much once you've been up in profits. If you go up that much, there is obviously going to be a chance that if you start rejecting these sorts of areas and come back to your entry, the candle could definitely flip at that point. What you also got to take into consideration is this area over here. This is obviously an area where we could react at. This is a previous level of support. We don't want to tap into that and then start rejecting and forming some resistance, because then again we could only get that overall bullish move a bit later on in the day. So do be aware that if you're on the buys and we do start rejecting these sorts of areas, that it is because this is support, and that support can often turn into resistance. But we are on the upward trend, so we do expect to just push through that. Not much happening on GJ at the moment. Just looking at the higher time frames, the areas we're tapping into right now. As you can see, we have this 4-hour resistance up here, which now if we start forming some support at, that could be our break of that area and then continuation. But yeah, just not really keen on lack of confirmations of this trade, so not in it. You can see now you probably would have been back at your entry, and the most you would have been up is probably about 9 or so pips. So if you took the entry based on the break of the 30-minute high, just do be a little bit careful. Are there any other good traders in your city? I have no idea. Good traders are pretty few and far between, especially in my country, not just city. I have a lot of good marketers in my country. A lot of guys that will tell you that they'll get you your dream car in a couple of months, but I haven't really seen their actual consistent results. Looks like we are going to continue ranging a little bit on GJ. What we may end up doing is getting a much stronger bearish push and then later on making our way back up. But we're just going to have to wait a little bit for that. This is the best looking trade in the country. Botrek's my always boosting me. Let me just check out on the Telegram if we have any charts in here. I did see some stuff getting sent in this morning. So just gonna check that. We have a couple of charts. This is from Alessandro and this is on GJ. So we got, you're also looking at further continuation for the buys. You obviously want to see the higher low form as well, and then continuation. Possible sells below this area, counter trend. I like that you've involved that as well. Definitely important to remember clean candles. So yeah, if you're going to have the volume at that time with the clean candles, although it may be counter trend, then obviously it may work out. Otherwise, yeah, it would just be much better to trade with the overall trend and the market structure. It's super important to remember though that at a time of high volume, you can see those counter trend moves happen. But again, guys, it's just super risky. If you are just starting out in trading, or if you are not having the best of months or best of weeks or even best of days, just stay away from any counter trend trade, no matter how tempting it may seem. If you even have 30-40 pips of clear range to left and it's counter trend, just try to stay away from it. If you can just trade with the trend, that'll be, you know, the best possible move you can make. So very nice analysis there, Alessandro. Agree definitely with all of that, except you did not have this marked out as clear candles, which I do possibly see why, because obviously the resistance has formed there. But what we would expect during a time of high volume is to get up to this area up here. But I do understand why you'd look at this as not clean candles, because again, within this wick we can reject at any point. So that's very important to look at. So yeah, continuing the range. Gold trying to push bullish. Nothing much happening there. Let's see what else we have chart-wise. Belas sent in a couple. You have £1 yen, risky buys above 156.15. Safer buys. Yeah, I think a lot of people are looking at these safer buys above this 156.500 level, but it is obviously quite a bit away. We're going to have a much stronger push to get up to those levels, and then we can expect some exhaustion and then maybe come back up after we've formed again the higher low. Counter trend sells perfect below 155.98. Like that as well. Very nice chart. Let's see, you also put a gold chart in here as well. Potential sells below 18.19, which ended up working out really nicely. We filled quite a lot of this range. And then potential buys above 18.23. I think I also have that marked in. We have a huge amount of clear range if we look to the left above this 18.23 level. So that will be perfect. now it's just a matter of, we don't really want to take the buys at the high. So if we can start moving up, then start forming our higher lows, higher high, and then start moving up, we can just sort of ride that move all the way up. Because you can see to the left here, if we go look all the way left, we got all these clean candles to play with. So there's a lot of range. So no need to force a move or rush a move, because we will definitely get something at some point. We just want to buy at the best possible prices, as well as selling. We don't want to be selling at lows. So definitely something to keep in mind. If anyone else has any charts or anything like that, please do send them in the Telegram. Also, any pairs that you want me to check out, I will do my best to analyze. Also saw that you said you got a nice GJ scalp yesterday, which is very, very nice to see as well, Balas. I do see where you got that, yeah. At the moment, not a huge amount happening. Obviously, we can now wait for this candle close on GJ. Now that we have kind of formed another level of support. Sorry, don't know why that one. This level of support, we can possibly see ourselves continuing this sort of trend that we're having, and maybe continue the bullish daily trend. Could you do a top-down analysis on Bitcoin? Yeah, why not? Because we have a lot of time. Let's go check it out. Serge, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Thank you very much. Morning, morning. Welcome. Yeah, this should be fine. Let me just remove the drawings and check what we got on our hands here. We're back up at that 44,000 level, which is actually a very important level. So we're gonna, I mean, I'm not gonna really look at I'm not gonna use the monthly as a structural sort of thing. But what I do notice on the monthly is, you can see last month we tapped into this level of support, right? We clearly rejected it. And now this month already we have started to form a strong bullish candle after tapping into the support level. So that could obviously be a rejection of that support level. If we now look at the weekly, this is where we can look at market structure, and then we look at the previous weekly candle, you can see we are bullish in market structure. The previous weekly candle was a very bullish week, so that's important to remember. We've also formed some weekly supports, more or less near previous level of weekly support. Let me just mark that in with this. So you can see we more or less tapped into this level of weekly support, and we started forming support there, which is always what you want to see, especially when you want to see price start moving back bullish. If we look at the daily, our market structure on the daily at the moment is clearly, we're actually bullish in market structure. I was going to say clearly bearish, but I think we're bullish. This was our low. Here's your 2 or more candle pullback. You can see if we draw a horizontal line at the peak of that, we did get the candle close above that point. So we've flipped daily market structure bullish again. We also have now got to this level of daily resistance. So if we can break above this level of daily resistance, you can see we have a lot of clean daily range to trade into. So I'd say market structure is bullish. If we now drop down to the 4 hour, we can start marking some support and resistances. You can see we broke above this 4 hour resistance. We got all this clean 4 hour candles to move into. To be honest, when it comes to price action on crypto, it's very important to remember that it works based off of public perception and not, pure price action. So if people just start deciding that Bitcoin is not really worth that much money, we know how it works. It just dumps. And if we start getting some hype around Bitcoin again, it starts to pump. So it's also important to remember that. So fundamentals are very important for this sort of thing. You can see we also have a level of 4 hour support, which we formed over here. So those are both major levels of resistance and major levels of support. Drop down to the 1 hour. Again, the support level, you can now just shift it down a little bit. I would keep it here. And then you can see we're also we have formed some 4 hour resistance at that level. If we look left from there, we have clean candles to the left. So what I would be looking at is buys above 45,000 and sells below 43,000. But if we're looking at market structure, you can see we clearly are bullish in market structure. We've had 3 bullish weeks in a row, or 2, and we're currently in our 3rd. So I actually had an alert set for 44,000 once we got back above this 44,000 level, because just based off of someone that I know who trades a lot of Bitcoin, saying if we get back up after having that big drop to the 44,000 level, that's basically our retest done. So I do see potential for us to maybe continue bullish. We definitely have some range, but yeah, again, this is just a price action sort of analysis on Bitcoin, which I know works completely differently to just your normal currencies. So do be aware of that. Very, very different. But I would say market structure is bullish on Bitcoin, and based on the weekly and the monthly. I think the monthly is quite important, because when you look at Bitcoin, you need to be looking at long-term sort of holds rather than these short-term trades. I don't like to trade it short-term. All the crypto that I'm involved in is all long-term holds. So for me, something like this, where you see a tap into a monthly level of support, followed by a lot of bullish momentum, and that was our 2 bullish weekly candles in a row, that's in a strong indication that maybe we have now respected that monthly level of support, and we could see ourselves retesting the higher levels, maybe 50,000 and above. So that is going to be a possibility for sure. But again, we all know how this works. We come up, we go down. It's like a roller coaster. Still very, very interested in the buys on GJ above this 156.251 level. We have a candle close in about 11 or so minutes. So let's just wait for this candle close. Hopefully we can get above this level of resistance and then just see our overall continuation of the daily sort of trend. You can see today's daily candle has already been strong bullish. So let's hope that we can continue with that. 4 hour, what I would be worried about on the 4 hour is some possible exhaustion. You can see we've had a strong 4 hour bullish push already. So if we do start forming some resistance, we're also coming up to a level of 4 hour resistance, which we have marked out. So if we do start rejecting that, we could see ourselves coming down a little bit, maybe creating that higher low to then ride it back up to the top. Just something to look at. Yeah, other than that, just waiting. Another disappointing London Open, but we are pretty used to that at the moment. Yesterday the volume also only really came in, I would say, yeah, around 10:30. So the candle, actually no, around 11, so an hour after London Open. Could have a very similar situation. What that has been happening a lot since we've had this terrible market open candle. We've had countless bad ones already this year, so it always tends to come maybe an hour and a half after the actual open. That's when all the volume, and we start getting those much bigger candles. We want to be trying to catch candles like this and this, and basically these moves down. That's what we want to be looking for. And a very important thing to look at is when you see a candle like this, you need to start thinking to yourself, how can I get in at the best possible points of that candle? So if you miss it, just analyze that back and say, how could I have entered that trade? And then look for a possible entry. And then you will see something like that again. We all know that this stuff happens over and over again. Hopefully next candle gives a volume. I really hope so too, Zeems. I hope so too. GJ last year, if we go look at the weekly and we go look at basically the whole of December, once we started forming the support, I remember I was actually in a call with Zeems and it was quite late at night. And I said I'm going to take a swing trade based on the weekly candle, this one forming support at a previous level of support, and then this one respecting the previous weekly candle low and a break of this high. And I took a trade based on the weekly candle. I still remember that, and that was like the start of the, some of the best market conditions I'd seen on GJ in a very long time. You can see how easy it was after forming support at this level to ride these buys up to the top. Very, very relax, or not relaxing, very, very chilled, very easy to catch them. And then even, to be honest, these sells were not too hard, but this year has been terrible. December last year was amazing. Do you still have a mentor? Not anymore. I don't really have a mentor, but I'm obviously in a couple of groups with some of the, you know, the really well-known traders, and we chat and talk about a few things, but I wouldn't really say mentor. I have had a mentor in the past. I think it's very important to have a mentor. And if you can build a relationship with your mentor like I did, then you will always be able to, you know, refer to them and ask them questions about anything, and they'll never ever worry about, you know, helping you out or anything like that, which I think is super important. It was such a nice swing. It was an amazing swing. We took it, I think it was, we were both sitting in Discord, which I think, I'm looking at Discord now, guys. A few of you guys have joined the Discord. If you haven't, please go into the Telegram group and find that link. Ronan did post it in there. I'm going to post it in there again later today. And yeah, I will definitely be doing a lot of the afternoon sessions in Discord. I think it's just going to make it a lot more fun. Can at least send chat to all of you guys, and we can talk about some trade ideas. But yeah, I was sitting in Discord with Zeems, and this was some really, really nice buys. Amazing, in fact. But yeah, this year has definitely not been, I mean, results-wise, it's been on par to last year, but to find the actual entries has been incredibly difficult. It's been one of the harder sorts of months to start the year I've had in a while. Last year, at the beginning of the year, up until about March, April, it was definitely impulse sort of season. We were having heaps and heaps of impulses. The whole of March, I remember being a very strong impulse month, so all our entries were more or less impulses. And that's why it's so important to have sort of market experience and market cycle experience, because you start to realize that different times of the year have different sort of entries and different sort of sorry, I was just checking something there, and different sort of ways that price moves. So yeah, let's see, hopefully we can start getting that more confirmed sort of entries, like the break and retest, the candle close, next candle wicks down and continues bullish, because that's a lot safer. Even if you are in a time when impulse entries are happening all the time, to take one is still very, very risky, and like always makes it a bit more of a nervous trade. Gold rejecting this level of support, so probably, yeah, forming some 15-minute resistance to possibly continue further down. So yeah, I'm pretty happy I didn't take that buy. 13 pips would have secured if I did by then, but including spread, yeah, too tight to call. Don't know if any of you guys are involved in some of the, well, not so much new anymore, but things like NFTs and anything with the metaverse, but yeah, certainly something to look into and definitely interests me a lot. But it's definitely, you know, it's very different to Forex and very different to trading in terms of how I've always looked at Forex. Is and the reason I day trade is because I do want to make my money there and then, as opposed to swing trading where you go into, you know, nice huge amounts of profits, and then all of a sudden you're back at your entry in a bit of loss, and then back in profits, and it's like an emotional roller coaster, and it takes, you know, days to weeks for things to play out. Whereas I do feel like things like NFTs and that sort of stuff is definitely going to be long-term holds, although there are some which just seem to pop up and boom over a couple of days. Do you have an NFT? I have a couple. The one I spent quite a lot of money on, and the other one was more of just a you know, one of those ones where you think, okay, if this, you know, I buy it for a decently good price, and if it booms, it booms. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But the other one was more calculated. I did get told that, you know, it has a very good chance of growing in value, which it has, but it was very expensive as well. But I can show you them when you're here in Cape Town, seems, or I can just, you know, when we are in Discord sometime. Have been trying to branch out with my portfolio a little bit, not just, you know, Forex and this sort of active income. Definitely been looking at more passive income sources such as stocks and that sort of thing. So yeah, definitely been growing the portfolio. Rather do it now than in 20 years. But Forex will definitely always be my passion as opposed to that other stuff. People think though that with stocks and that sort of thing, you just buy it and hold it and hope for the best, but you know, you do need to have an understanding, and it helps to have an understanding of it, which I think is why it's really good to consult like professionals and that sort of stuff, rather than just being like, okay, I know that that's a good company, let me just buy, because I know in 30 years time it will be worth more. You can probably get the same return from a not so big company, but that someone has actually analyzed and understands why it can grow a lot faster. So also pretty important to look at. These ads are really annoying. So gold, GJ, we are still ranging. Should have expected. London Open, as soon as I'm back, London Open, we continue to range. The same old, same old. Gold, we obviously had this decently bullish push. Let's just see on the 15, we have flipped bullish as well. So yeah, we could see ourselves coming up a little bit further on gold. I'd like to see a 1 hour support form. So this is only going to form in about 30 minutes time. But what I'll be looking for then is if this 1 hour candle respects a lot of that 1 hour candle and forms support, that's obviously our break and retest completed on the 1 hour. And then if we break this 1 hour candle high, obviously I think we could see ourselves moving a bit further, but wherever this 1 hour candle closes, I would like to see us break the high, and then we have this to trade into to then continue further bullish if we are going to continue bullish. So that's going to be your type D entry. GJ, it's also bullish in market structure. These pairs are both bullish in market structure if we look at overall market structure, guys. So bias is certainly my bias. I didn't get involved in the gold sells this morning just because of that, but they did play out really, really nicely. But other than that, yeah, I'm definitely not looking for sells on either one of these pairs at the moment. GJ, now that we have created, let me just see what we have here. Yeah, and so on GJ, now that we have created this new 30-minute high, if we get below this point, obviously that's going to be our structural flip bearish. So then at least we will have one time frame on our side with bearish market structure if we are looking at taking these sells into this area. We have the clean candles to the left, so that's obviously a confluence. Then we'll have the structural flip on the 30-minute, which is a confluence as well. And then what we need is our candle setups to fill this sort of range that we have to the left here. It's about, let's see, it's about 22 pips worth of range, maybe a little bit more. You could push out of it, maybe 26, but yeah, definitely enough trading range. But what you'll mainly want to be looking at is having that structural flip on your side. Now that we've created this high on the 30, and now we look for the point which created the high, which is 2 or more candle pullback, and you can see here we have that. So we just need to exceed 155.987. That'll be very important. Show me in Cape Town? Yeah, well, definitely will, Zeems. Definitely will. Do a quick analysis on GU as well, guys, because I know that quite a few people trade GU, so it'll be nice just to go over that. I haven't looked at GU in a very long time, so let's just check it out. Probably still have some very old analysis left in here. Start off on the weekly. So if you do trade GU, this could be pretty helpful. So you can see our market structure on the weekly is bullish. Previous week closed pretty strong bullish. We obviously left this a little bit of rejection wick to the top, which would have been some bearish daily candles, but that's fine. If we look at the daily, our current market structure is also bullish. This was our high created by this point over here. And why is that? Because that's our 2 candle pullback. So we're currently bullish on the daily. You can also see we formed some daily support at a previous level of daily support and have been pretty much bullish ever since then. You can see we're also coming down to retest a previous level of daily resistance, and we've now formed daily support on that previous level of daily resistance. So that's your break and retest. So now we can maybe come up to retest this high on the daily, but obviously the entries will be identified on the lower time frames. So now we can start marking some zones. You can see we have resistance at that level, support at this level. So we are what looks like ranging on the 4 hour. If we break above this 4 hour level, we have clean candles to the left. And if we break below this 4 hour support level that we have marked out, the problem with that is then we have 4 hour support right here. So what I would be looking to do is marking out that 4 hour support and maybe taking this one away, because we want to obviously trade the clean candles to the left. So we don't want to just take a trade based on breaking a 4 hour support if we don't have clean range to the left. Market structure on the 4 hour, this was our 4 hour high created by this point, and now we exceeded that point, you can see. So we are currently bearish in market structure on the 4 hour. So at the moment we're sitting 2v1. We go look at the 30 minute, ranging on the 30 minute, not looking good at all. Very, very messy. Yeah, I suppose if we look at, this was where our original 4 hour support level was marked in. If we break below that, we do have clean candles down to this support level. It is a bit choppy, so just be a little bit aware of that, but I'd say that's where you could mark that out. If we're looking at structure, this was our low created by this point. We are currently still bearish in market structure. So we have a 2v2, so buyers and sellers can both play out. If we're going to be looking at our 30-minute zone, I'd mark it a little bit higher to indicate that, okay, if we get a candle close above this area, there's a good chance that we can come up to 1.35766. I know we have this wick, and this wick to worry about, but we'd be hoping that at a time of high volume, we can push straight through those wicks. So yeah, that's my thoughts on GU at the moment. Let me just check out gold quickly. So yeah, not a huge amount happening. I just found the stream. How often do you stream? What's up, Zeus? Welcome to the stream. I stream every day, London sessions, and I'm going to be streaming Tuesday and Thursday New York sessions, but I think that I'll probably be doing those in Discord as opposed to on YouTube. Still gonna decide, but today we will definitely do one, guys, probably in Discord as opposed to on YouTube. So if you aren't in the Discord, please do join it. The link is in the Telegram, and I can quickly post the link in the chat as well. Let me just get that. Invite people. Okay, I won't miss a day. Thank you for the support, Zeus. I do appreciate that. I don't know if that's going to show in the chat, guys, but if you haven't joined the Discord, please do. I think it's going to be a really nice way to be able to, all have discussions about this sort of stuff, and it's just going to make it a lot more fun. Just ignore the channels in there at the moment. They need to be fixed up, and the roles as well are going to be allocated to, because I think some days we will do only members sort of stuff, and then I'll need to give roles to the members only. Probably going to be live for about another 10 minutes, guys. So if you have any questions, any charts, anything like that, please let me know, and I can try help you out as much as possible. I will be doing afternoon session today. Did you take a trade today? No trade taken. Was very tempted into taking gold sells a bit earlier, which worked out perfectly, but didn't want to trade against the trend. And then these gold buys, I just didn't myself feel confident enough to take the buy above this level just because of this candle sort of situation that we had. So no trades taken, but definitely going to be lots of opportunities throughout the day. So not to worry. About 15 pips to the top side at the moment. Do you trade only during the open of the session of your or do you trade during the session as well? Throughout the whole session. I will trade. I just think, you know, trading the open of a session is obviously when the most volume is meant to be in the market, but the volume kind of hangs around for a little while. So you can see here we even have some volume at the moment on gold. We've had a nice strong bullish candle form previously, and this candle's also pushing quite strong bullish. Sorry about that. So yeah, I will trade throughout the session and even sometimes in between sessions. How long is the session? Well, from market open until market close. So market closes are obviously different times of the day, but that'll be in the evening. The main volume is at the market open. So for London, your majority of your volume will come within the first hour or two, usually. So I'd say that's how long my trading sessions normally are. I will always be at the charts from London open till about, which is 10 o'clock my time, till about 11:30. When you mentioned trading conditions changing throughout the year, did you have to adapt your style somewhat, or how did you deal with the changes? Yeah, so obviously your first sort of full cycle within the year, you're gonna be trial and error because you're obviously not gonna fully understand the cycles. But once you have an idea of the way that the cycle's working, maybe it'll take you a couple of days or a whole week to identify it, and then you got to kind of change your approach. So if you're seeing impulse entries all the time and you're always missing your entries, and it consistently does that for, let's say, a week or 2 weeks, then you're obviously going to have to start being more confident in taking those impulse entries. So that's something I learned pretty early on. If you're seeing a lot of fake outs happen and you were originally an aggressive trader and then you're getting faked out all the times with impulse entries, what you need to start doing is waiting for more candle closes. So you just got to be fluid in the markets. Something Roger Banks always talks about is being fluid in the markets, and you need to, trade what you see. So yeah, very, very important to adapt with the conditions. We are moving quite nicely on gold at the moment. Hi Henry, what fundamentals making gold go bullish? No fundamentals making gold go bullish. What's making gold go bullish is overall market structure. And this is what I was talking about earlier, guys. Market structure is 4v0 bullish. We obviously have the weekly as bullish. Let me just check. Yeah, so we have the weekly as bullish, our daily market structure is bullish, our 4-hour market structure is bullish, and our 1-hour market structure is bullish. So this sort of counter trend sell which we had earlier on in the day was counter trend for that exact reason. We were trading against the trend. You can see we've maintained our bullish market structure, and for those of you who are new and don't know how to understand market structure or identify market structure, what you need to do is identify your high or low, and then I've identified the 2 or more candle pullback which created that high or low. So a very quick example, this is our high over here. We need now a 2 candle pullback which created that high. Here's 1 candle, here's 2. So we need 2 or more. So this is just a pause, this is your pullback. So we haven't exceeded this point, therefore we are still bullish in market structure. So fundamentals aren't making price go up, it's pure technicals and market structure which is making price go up. because we are in an upward trending market. That's why it's so important to trade the trend and understand your market structure. Because taking these sells, although they would have worked out, in different market conditions, these sells are not going to work out and you're going to get faked out because you are trading against a trend where you could just be waiting for these sorts of easier with the trend buys and buying at much better prices, you know, forming support on previous level of resistance and then looking for those bullish continuations. To my untrained eye, oil looks like a buy. Don't trade oil, so not too sure, but I'll take your word for it. Thanks, I struggle with training markets, even as low as on the daily, as I keep thinking they're going to reverse as opposed to seeing it for what it is, something I need to work on. At least now you have identified that it is something you need to work on and that you can work on it, because it's very important that even when you take losing trades, guys, it's fine to take a losing trade if you know why you've lost that trade. As soon as you're taking losing trades and you're just not even identifying why you're losing those trades, then it becomes a problem. So if you didn't understand that you were struggling with, you know, training markets and you were just in limbo as to what the problem was, that would be a problem. But the fact that you know that training markets is the issue, or identifying a training market, that's a huge bonus, because now you can just continue working on that until you feel comfortable. Always trade with the trend. That is my one thing which I would say to basically, if I could say two things to any trader, it's trade with the trend and manage your risk. Those are, I think identifying market structure is the most important technical in trading by far. I say that quite a lot, and I think the most important management sort of thing, or the most important factor when it comes to trading, is certainly risk management. Without either of those two, you're going to be struggling very longingly throughout your trading career. Yeah, about 2 or so minutes, guys. And again, let's just go over a quick recap of what I'm going to be looking at for the rest of the day. So now you can see we've kind of made this bullish push that I was talking about. If we look at the 1 hour, we have come up a little bit further, which has obviously killed a lot of this trading range. We still do have about 27 pips to get back up and retest the top, but we might move a little bit further, and then that's going to kill our trading range. I do still think above 1823, if we can get above that level, maybe with a 4 hour candle close above that level, we're going to see some really easy moves. Okay, thanks. But if market structure determines market movements, as you said, what then happens during high impact economic news? Fundamentals don't take into consideration price action, structure, anything of the sort. So what you need to understand is that when, you know, like you say, high impact economic news, so basically any red news folder, you need to understand that throw market structure out the window, throw price action out the window, because if those numbers come in and they're extremely bad or they are extremely good, no matter what the market structure is, the news is going to be based on the numbers that are provided. That's what the move is going to be based on. So a good example was, let's find NFP. Try find, what was the date on Friday? I think it was the 5th. I think this was our NFP news. You can see we were moving pretty bullish, and then NFP came and it was really I was not even trading NFP. Let's trade Forex Factory to try see what the numbers were. Right, so they had really good numbers, so obviously good for the currency, and if the numbers are good for the dollar, that means the gold value is going to drop. So we were moving pretty bullish at the time. You can see we're creating these high highs and high lows. Then when the news came in, we did not respect the structure at all, and it was really good dollar news, which is obviously going to destroy the gold value. So that's exactly what happened. But then you can see we recovered the overall situation, and now we're back in that bullish overall market structure. So trading fundamentals, that's why it's super risky, and you need to just be careful. If we're looking at GJ again, guys, remember 4v0 bullish market structure. I am mainly looking at buys above 156.251 and sells below 155.987. The reason for the sells is this is where we'll have a 30-minute market structural flip, so that'll at least put one of the time frames on our side. Other than that, it will still be counter trend, because then you still have your 3v1. So just do be aware of that, and only take the trade if you do completely feel comfortable with taking a little bit of a counter trend trade, and just make sure you manage your risk. As simple as that. Otherwise, I think by continuations above this level, we need to be careful though. We are on a 4-hour level of resistance, so that's going to be very, very important to look at. Other than that, yeah, I hope that you guys have an amazing rest of your day. I am going to be in Discord from, let's say, about 2:45. I think we have, that is, I don't know what time that is yours, but I am South African time. So if you guys want to see what time that is, it's basically 15 minutes before New York Open. That's the easiest way to to describe it. So I will be in Discord at that time. If you aren't in the Discord, I have put the link in the chat, so just join up, and then we can have a little bit of a chat. And I hope that all you guys, yeah, have a good rest of your day. Trade safely. Just be aware of the sorts of moves happening today. It does look like we do have a little bit of volume, at least on gold. And yeah, I appreciate all the support again. If you guys can, please also leave a like on the stream and subscribe if you aren't subbed. And yeah, thank you, Blip, Nick, Stanley, everyone who was in chat. I do appreciate it. And I'll see you guys a little bit later. And yeah, cheers. Thanks, Sharif. Thanks.